If you're in a job and the person who is your supervisor is in disrespect of you, should you obey them? You know, is that a
Yes
good...
or no? You asked me. I'm going to say B, no. Do not obey. Final answer. I don't
You
need
want
the
to call
final.
a friend?
Nope. I'm going to save that lifeline. I think I got this one.
You did. You got that one.
You know how they celebrate? Ah, yes, I made it. Next question.
So these people in government, conspiracy theory, don't actually work for you. They work for the big companies who don't care about you and who only want to gobble up all of the resources on planet Earth. But now that this platform has given people the opportunity to not buy into the Fortune 500 companies and to be their own boss and to use their own brain cells to figure out things, oh, they don't like that. They're getting very angry at you. How dare you peasants have a mind of your own? How dare you peasants also be lords of the castle? We're the only rulers here. But what they don't understand is that the peasants come in huge numbers. And when the peasants become smart and they know what's going on, they're going to have a very big issue. And what these politicians don't realize is if they piss off enough peasants, they themselves can no longer hold power because the power is within us.
The theory is there's a pain point and eventually we'll hit the pain point and that's when they'll stop. How many people have to starve? Most of American products cannot be legally sold in other countries without warnings on them. And we just went, okay, yeah, sure. It's why they feel so comfortable. They've rigged the game in their favor. We basically can't rebel. Most people don't want to rebel. A number of people who have commented to me like, you can't be mean to Kellogg's. Like, what did they do to you? Why are you defending a corporation like it's your best friend? The second you don't have money, they won't know you. It's time for us to wake up and remind them, with our money, the only thing they respect, that they are not in charge. Maybe we took our eye off the ball for a while, but we're done.
Welcome to Call for the Truth. I am LaOta of the Sun, and this is Tavares of the Sun, and we are here today. And if you notice, Tavares is wearing a Disobey t-shirt. We're going to talk about disobedience today. Tavares, will you begin by calling for the truth?
Yes. And we encourage those who are joining us to chime in on the call for the truth. Should we call forth the frequency of truth to come forth? Should we call to see the truth in all that we see? Should we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Should we call to speak the truth in all things? Calling forth the courage to speak the truth. Should we call for nothing less than the truth to come forth in our experience? And we are here.
And thank you. It is wonderful to be in the place of truth.
Yes.
And speaking about disobedience, we are at a point right before the eclipse of the sun and right before the solar maximum that's coming this year, right before 2025 and 2024, when so many things will happen that it becomes pertinent that we identify what have we been obedient to? What have we been in agreement with? What have we let be an authority over us? And where has it gotten us? And where did it take us? And how are we doing with that? So how's our world doing with us being obedient? How's our world doing with us eating, drinking, and doing all the things that are the status quo? How's that working for us, working 5 days a week and being in rush hour traffic and eating the American Standard menu and microwaving our food? How is that working?
I feel like many people have buyer's remorse. Like, oh, this isn't as great as I thought it was.
So there's so many things in our lives that we are consciously and unconsciously obedient to, our cultural understandings, our religious affiliations, our political experiences. And many people think that what's happening in the world is political. But we are in the middle of a galactic event where none of the rules apply and only what works should be supported and that we should keep. So we're encouraging everyone to kind of look at everything around you. Look at your kitchen, look in your refrigerator, look at your car, look at the lights that are being installed, look at the laws that are coming into play. See what is in our best and highest interest and what is not. You are encouraged to disregard if it doesn't serve you, because the law is that everything in our lives should serve us. Our relationships with our children should serve us and should serve them. Our relationships with our partners should serve us and to serve the other person. The relationship with our flora and our fauna, our animals and our vegetation should serve it and serve us. So does this inspire you to speak about this?
Yes. So if we think about what we have given allegiance to or obeying, and we have had this silent suffering, knowing it's not right, knowing it's not appropriate, but because maybe something has been written in law, and oh, that's the law, but something's not right about that.
Yes.
And I feel an awakening happening. I feel like if you want this hoodie, go to visit the website. Shameless plug. These are only on demand. But funny enough, this was your idea to create take the Disney font and turn it into something that speaks against the normalization of what we have given allegiance to, whether it's corporations, our government, and even the relationships that we have with others, and we just kind of acquiesce to things within family or in our love lives. And like, no, it's time to disobey. It's time to stop back and assess. And I think what you were saying about, is this serving both parties? Who's really winning here?
Yeah.
Who's or gaining? Because it's not a competition. And both parties should be raising up or elevated or made greater from the engagement. And there's a lot of things in our world. If you take Disney, for example, the exposing our children to them, that's not making them greater. But it sure as hell is getting their agenda across.
Absolutely. I think it's very important for us to understand that there is greater law and greater understanding than whatever it is that we are obeying. Like, there's a greater law that says we should thrive, we should be joyful, we should be happy, but we live in a world where there's great suffering and great dissonance with all of the things that promote life. So I'm saying the things that don't promote life, disobey those things. Obey the thing that is you, that supports you, that serves you. Life in your food, life in your children, life in your relationships, life in your parents, life in your houses. Disobey the things that make you part of the planet of suffering, the prison planet of suffering. So this idea is not to, we are already a lawless society with less law in our favor all the time and more law that is not in our favor. So this idea of actually looking at each thing, is this new thing that has come into being, is this to support my well-being and the well-being of my family and all of those humans and those who are not human, all life on the planet? If it's not, it's an easy no. It's a no for me. That's a no for me. If it does support it, then it's a yes. Let's move forward with it. So this is not about blanketly saying no to everything, but it's about saying no to everything that does not support you.
Yeah.
Whether it's your personal relationship. If you're in a job and the person who is your supervisor is in disrespect of you, should you obey them? You know, is that a
Yes
good...
or no, you asked me. I'm going to say B, no. Do not obey. Final answer. I don't
You
need
wanna
the
call
final.
a friend?
Nope. I'm going to save that lifeline. I think I got this one.
You did. You got that one.
You know how they celebrate? Oh, yes, I made it. Next question. No,
So
we
that-
shouldn't take the abuse.
No, we shouldn't
It's
take
just
it.
permitting and allowing it to continue.
And we
If don't
shouldn't
stand
let
up.
ourselves abuse ourselves. We shouldn't
That part
let
too.
our own desire to look a certain way or be a certain way allow us to become abusers of ourselves. Do
Yeah.
not obey the media image that tells you something's wrong with you.
Yeah, the
Disobey
voice that's
that.
in our head that's talking crazy when we look in the mirror, like, you hear it? No, I'm not doing that. Nope. I'm just fine. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. Disobey the crazy thoughts.
Absolutely. So the idea of disobey some of our common practices, like disobey that microwave. Make sure that you're not giving your children, what's the current thing, cornflakes?
Kellogg's, yeah. There.
Disobey the desire to give them something that's not food. Disobey the common practice of, buying frozen food and then microwaving your burrito. Disobey the idea of drinking that 40 ounce. Disobey the Coca-Cola. Disobey the things that are part of your lives that have inculcated themselves into all of our consciousness, but are killing us. And we know what these things are. Disobey those things. Move towards the things that offer us greater life, more beauty, less opportunity for us to have to reconstruct ourselves because we have destroyed ourselves. So we have to reconstruct ourselves to present ourselves because our hair won't grow, our nails aren't growing, or all of those kinds of things. We would be better served by making sure that every choice was a choice towards life. So we are encouraging you in a world where we're being pushed towards anti-life to choose life in every decision. Should I go out with this person? Should I have this experience? Vibration. We are a universal remedy of support, an ally infused with positive frequencies and biophotonic light particles intended to return one to the greater whole of one's organic nature. Within our layered structure exists an opportunity for metamorphosis, prompting divine healing energies of light to awaken your original composition, that which has been irritated by inorganic substances through mental, emotional, and physical material. We are navigators, those who operate by way of your conscious thought and directive, exponentially moving to the physical areas of stuck emotion within the body that are in need of restoration. When engaged with us, we identify and mirror the called upon frequencies of lower vibratory notion for it to see itself in transmutation, while awakening that which is dormant to shift into the rectification of optimum balance and functionality. So each of these things
Yeah.
should
So,
happen.
so this is our Flipside solution from disobeying all the different things that aren't serving
Yes,
and to what to obey.
yes,
Obey the word that you make to yourself.
absolutely.
Obey the guidance that's shared with you.
Yes.
Because I don't know how many of us we'll hear something from guidance and we're like, nah. So
And your guidance might be your grandmother. It might be somebody on the phone who says, if you slept at night, you'd feel better in the morning. If you stay up all night and work all day, that doesn't usually work.
yeah.
So I think that's a really good one.
Yeah, indeed. So what else do we have? Obeying universal laws and principles.
Yes.
Adhering to these things that, funny enough, as I'm naming these things, they all move in the direction of life.
Yes.
You know, at least all the examples that we're giving.
Yes.
You know, where you're adhering and honoring and listening and taking in information that, again, makes you greater, that's not subtracting from you, diminishing who you are, the truth of your value. And I think that as we shift, because I was having a moment of, what does that look like when we really start disobeying? You know, because in order to disobey something, you have to be obeying something else, right? Would you say?
I would say that when you make a decision, that then you have the opportunity to change a circumstance. So you are changing from one thing to another.
Yes. So, like, what does that shift and change look like? You know, and I'm thinking I could feel more freedom arising from the experience. I mean, if you just think about all the different things that you listed earlier, from corporations, government, and the different systems, like that in and of itself is liberation.
Yes.
You know, just stepping off a bit from these things. But that's, again, all moving in the direction of life. And for those who maybe haven't checked out the previous podcast, we were talking about the timeline split, and like, this is what it's about, you know. And to make that jump, we have to disobey, you know, because it's the adherence and the honoring of the things that haven't worked out that would stop us from moving into that new trajectory of life.
I think one of the ways you can think of it is the proper wording could be, I disobey the status quo, because the status quo is what got us where we are. The way we think about things has gotten us to the point where we're sick, where there's cancer is rampant, where we're blindly obedient to things that are not in our best interests, where relationships have deteriorated and people are not treating each other with respect. So I definitely see that, disobey that.
Well, certainly.
Someone disrespects you, step off from that.
That's right. See how that feels. It's going to be liberating.
So the idea is not that we're encouraging anarchy. However, anarchy has already taken place. We should not obey the anarchy that is currently happening.
Yes.
So that's how I'd like to talk about that.
It's quite the change in perspective.
Yes.
I think it's very fresh too.
Yeah. So are you ready?
Yeah, let's definitely
So we have
do this.
the Call for Truth cards. And today we're going to ask Tavares to have a question about today's podcast. And I'm going to shuffle the cards and then ask him to pull a card and explain it to us, whatever the card is.
I'm calling to harmonize and align with the deck. And the question I have
And
is to see the truth as it relates to the concept of disobeying. Haha! The theme is freedom.
yes.
As we free ourselves, we awaken the others that are asleep.
Yes.
You disobey, you might wake another person up that, you know what, I'm going to stop purchasing from this company that's ripping us off, putting chemicals in our food. I know it was the status quo, and these are the waffles we've always eaten for breakfast, but we don't have to do that anymore. Someone else may say, you know what, I think you're right.
And so when somebody has a pharmaceutical contract and they want to sell us pharmaceuticals as a replacement for our own choices that lead us in the same direction, we could say, we disobey that, Oprah.
Yeah.
We disobey. We don't want that. We want something else.
Yes.
So thank you. We thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again. We'd like to end our podcast today with giving you the greetings of In Lakesh and Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude. Don't forget, disobey.